It's holiday time, and that means gifts and presents. And I want to talk about gifts and presents for knitters. Not the things that we knit for other people as gifts, but maybe some gift ideas for those people in our life who want to buy things for us. I asked what was on your Christmas wish list, and you shared lots of comments with me. So we're going to go through those, and maybe you could share this video with your loved ones and give them a little hint about what's on your Christmas list. Hey nerdy knitter, Tanya here. I'm a certified knitting instructor and a master hand knitter, and I believe knitting's a form of self-care. You can take time for yourself and your creative hobbies like knitting or other hobbies and create beautiful garments that you love to wear. Now, I want to focus on us today, and I know right now you probably are sitting there knitting some gifts for other people, but let's talk about what we want for Christmas and the knitting gifts that are on our list. Of course, we probably have other things on our Christmas list as well, but I bet if you're a knitter, you have a few knitting things on there. Maybe just yarn, maybe some notions, maybe some other things. But I asked what was on your Christmas list, so we're going to go through those comments, and I've kind of divided them into categories because there's a lot of comments, and we'll just go through them today. And I want to say a quick shout out to Knit Picks for sponsoring this video. They sent me some new knitting needles and their new blocking pins. We're going to talk about these later on, but thanks to Knit Picks for sponsoring today's video. Probably at the top of the list is yarn or gift cards for your local yarn shop for more yarn. Unless you already have a huge stash and you don't need any yarn, but for the rest of us, we might have that at the top of our list. And actually, this is the best time to order. If you love to order from Knit Picks, this is their big annual sale. If you're watching this video in November, then they have a great sale on right now. This is when I usually make my wish list and give my list to my husband, or I actually fill the cart for him and he just has to add some surprises and check out. I know what I'm getting, but I like to plan ahead for the projects I want and pick out the yarn and the colors that I need specifically. So it's just easiest to do it that way. And yarn is on the top of your list as well. Karen says, I treat myself enough all year. I don't need any more specifically for Christmas. I won't say no to sock yarn though. And Antisocial Auntie says gift cards to yarn stores, or even cash in an envelope that says buy something pretty. And that can be pretty yarn. And DCCD says a gift card from a local yarn shop to buy enough yarn for a sweater I want to make for myself. And Old Woman 123, I agree to gift cards. Knit Picks, Etsy, you can use them all of 2025 if you want. That's so true. You can sort of spread out your shopping all year long with your gift cards. Books and Beers, a voucher to get more yarn. I'm planning to knit a full pajama for myself. And then tools, but I recommend a gift card to their favorite supplier. And Lori says, I like gift cards for my local yarn shop. January is usually a tough time for small businesses, and they usually have great sales at this time. It's nice to support them, and I get what I want. Another idea that I've enjoyed is I've asked my family what they would like me to knit for them. I honestly usually knit for myself, so it's nice to know that if they want hats or mitts. Also, it works great for those girlfriends of boys that I have no idea what to get. If they ask me what do you want, I say I would love to know if there's something I could knit for you. This is for after Christmas, but it gives me ideas for birthdays as well. That's really good advice, Lori. I love the idea of patronizing your local yarn shop. In that first quarter, that can be a pretty lean time because, you have the last quarter of the year is the big rush, people buying gifts. So businesses tend to make the most money then, but then the reverse happens. The first quarter, that's when things are kind of lean. So it's a good time to shop at your local yarn shop. Next on our list is books, and you can probably tell I love my knitting books. I have a lot of knitting books. I reference them all the time for designing or when I'm teaching or when I need to look up something. Even for my own knitting, I can't keep everything in my brain, so I have to look stuff up all the time. Especially like a tubular bind off. I have to look that up every single time. But anyway, so I like to have my resources in my books, and I'm not alone in that. Nitty Linny says I have 2 books on my list this year. The finishing book you mentioned in the last podcast episode, and the Doodle Knit Directory by Jamie Lomax. I've also asked for DPN Cozy's holders, the Doodle card decks by Jamie Lomax. I'm definitely in a color work mood. And then Malin says neons and neutrals. I found it at my library only to realize that I actually needed it. I love to actually get books from my library first to make sure that it's going to be worth the investment and the space, because all those books take up space in your home too. So you want books that you're actually going to read and use and reference again. So I love looking at library books first and then deciding, should I put this on my list of books that I want to purchase? And well, if it's a knitting book, it usually does end up on my list. The next thing on the list is knitting needles, and Christmas is the perfect time to get a really lovely set of needles. Now this set is the Knit Picks Options needles in their new Peppermint Twist color. I think these are just a limited edition for the holiday season. So the Peppermint Twist set comes in this beautiful red vegan leather clutch. There's lots of pockets, all of the needles in there. You can see I've got some. I've been using them. They are really lovely to knit with. The joins are nice and smooth. The wood feels really nice in your hands, very comfortable to use. And I love the colors of the needles. They sort of look like a peppermint candy cane, really cute. So it comes with 9 interchangeable tips from a US 4 to US 11. And the tips themselves are 4 3/4 inches long. There are also 7 cables from a 24-inch up to a 60-inch cable lengths. Then there are end caps and cable keys to join everything together, and some cabled connectors to make your cables even longer if you need to. There's also a short set where the needle tips are 2 3/4 inches long, and that one comes with 7 interchangeable tips. And it's also available in a blue and gold set as well. A good set of knitting needles is an investment in your hobby. Now you can knit with whatever needles you like. Goodness, you could even knit with chopsticks if you wanted to. But for me and a lot of knitters, the process of knitting and enjoying the tools you use is part of the knitting experience. Like, we want to enjoy that. And you can knit with any needles, whether you buy them at the dollar store or Walmart or a really nice luxury brand. But honestly, I've knit with cheap needles and I've knit with expensive ones, and the nice interchangeable sets are my favorite. Like, they just feel nice in your hands, the joins are smooth, and for me and for many other people, that process of knitting with nice tools is part of knitting. So if this is something that maybe is out of your budget, but it could be put on your Christmas list. Maybe you have a loved one who really wants to splurge on you. So a good set of knitting needles is always a good thing to have. And that's on a lot of your lists as well. Shorty's needle set, Pattern Books project bag, and Nitty Vetty Vici Knit Pro Zing mini interchangeable needle set, extra swivel cables of all the lengths, and a Stanwood large capacity ball winder. Please Santa, I promise I've been good. And then Marie's yarn, obviously, needle sets. I'm craving the Dreams from Knit Pro, a ring row counter, some blocking pins and stitch markers, and progress keepers. And then Deborah, love me a set of interchangeable circular needles. Definitely. Then there's all the tools and the notions and the project bags. Some of those things have already been mentioned in some of these comments, but those things that just make your knitting either more relaxing or more fun, or you just enjoy having them. One of my new favorites is the Lemonwood yarn minder. You just pop your yarn on there, and then you can put this on your wrist, and while you're knitting, it just sort of holds your yarn in place. I've seen a lot of people on social media use these for traveling, like hanging them in their car while they're knitting, which is really great. But I like mine just like if I'm around the house and I'm going from room to room and doing different things, or if I'm going outside for a bit, you know, I can just pop this on my arm and have my knitting project in my hand. Just another really nice little notion or tool to try out, but that's on one that I really like recently. But here's what you have on your list. Christy says, I always love new notions, maybe a nice project bag, and of course, a gift certificate to my favorite local yarn store wouldn't go amiss. Beth says, Swift and winder and a steamer. Oh yes, I love my handheld steamer. That's perfect for like quick blocking. Isabel says, sock blockers, gift cards to local yarn stores, books, needle organizer, hand cream, even better if it's good for arthritic hands, project bags, and more books. I agree, more books, Isabel. Madeline says, a good lint remover. Yeah, that's a must with lots of sweaters. And then Danny loves knitting, a gift card to my local yarn shop, knitting books, and a new project bag. Now, what I would call a subcategory in these tools and notions would be blocking materials, like the handheld steamer, which definitely is important to me. And then we have more comments about that. Blocking mats and every red knit needles by Chowgu. I'm trying to knit brioche lace. Stephanie says, let's see, blocking mats, a row counter, adding knitting needles and yarn. Parsnips, I just saw blocking combs that curve, and now that's tops on my list. And I just got those, and yes, they are really cool. These are probably one of my new favorite pins. Along with that is the Strucket Tub. Let me see if I can hold it up because it's really big. From Knit Picks as well. I really like this. It has like an insert. You put your water in the bottom, and then it's got 2 different tubs. This one sits inside. I've got some stuff in there right now, so I can get blocking later on today. And then there's a little nozzle. Let me see if I can find it on one side, so you can drain the tub right there. And really, really nice. But the blocking pins are really, really cool. So they come in this really nice little case. There are 30 combs. Each one measures 1.5 inches square, and they each have 4 stainless steel pins. Now you can use them individually, like along your project, or they snap together to create customized lengths, which is really cool. They're very easy to put together. You can even create curves or really any shape that you want. And when you link them together, it's 53 inches in length. So a lot of length you've got right here. So these are really neat. And they also come with 50 stainless steel T-pins as well for like getting on those delicate areas that you need to in your projects. Now, storage solutions is another big topic, and that was a lot of the comments as well, is when we knit or any other craft, you end up with a lot of stuff, and you have to find some way to store it or keep it organized. And I mean, your knitting needles have to be organized, your yarn, your books, your notions. There's so many things to sort of keep track of and keep organized. I think we need to have a whole video just on that and organizing the different things, like just organizing knitting needles. I could use some help with that, so I'd love some tips there. But Charbear says, I'd love a nice set of Chow Shorty interchangeable needles, a new comfy knitting chair, and if someone invented a yarn storage end table with a small built-in book rack and notions storage space, I would be in heaven with that gift. My stuff keeps accumulating on my footstool. And Laura says, storage solutions. I often have yarn and patterns for projects waiting for completion of an existing project. They end up in bags, which isn't awful, but bags are messy and don't stack well. That's very true. I do keep all mine in a basket, like all my project bags with projects are in that basket right there. Kind of keeps everything contained. And AutoChick123 says, sturdy yarn organizers or a dresser. Also someone to clean and organize my craft supplies. Now, I would love that too. And Vix Wooten, I need some decent storage for my mini circulars and DPNs. Yes, I agree. Like the knitting needles, when you start getting more than like a few sets, they can start to pile up, and you've got to find a way to keep them organized so you can find what you need for your next project. And last on the list is time. I love this one. We all need more time to knit, right? And there's some good tips here about that. Jackie says, dudes, I have all the supplies I need for knitting. Somebody just buy me some time. And Desert Borealis, I've asked my family for time. I want time to knit more, so asking them for that time by them voluntarily taking on tasks like laundry for the day or meals for the day, and not on Christmas, but leading up to Christmas and even after Christmas. I love that idea. Like especially, let's say you've got kids who are old enough to do things around the house, but they don't really, have a lot of extra money to buy gifts. That's a great thing, is like they can just, cook a meal or do some cleaning so you can have more knitting time. And then Mel Sharp says, a house cleaner so I can sit back and knit while they take care of the housework. Of course, if we spent the money on a cleaner, then I wouldn't be able to afford more yarn. So I guess I'll just keep thinking about what I want to knit while I go and clean my floors. It's a good one, Mel. So what's on your holiday wish list this year? Somebody to do your cleaning for you, or more time for knitting, or some storage solutions, or maybe a new set of interchangeable needles? There are so many things that we can put on our list, and I'd love to know what's on yours. And if you want to keep hanging out with me, I'm going to put a video right here about last minute knitted Christmas gifts. If you've got some knitting to do and some gifts to make, then here are some good last minute ideas for you. So click right there, and I'll see you in the next video.